This is Santiago Leon, Swoll Tide. We got Justin Riley. Justin, how are you?
Man, doing good. Welcome to the greatest show on earth, our podcast. This is Swoll Tide. We're coming up close to the end of the regular season, man. Looking good so far.
Yeah, that stinks. It feels like we're just getting started, but it's three more games.
Yeah, but man, we're just getting started. But if you want to look at it, for the SEC West, it feels like we're already in the playoffs. So things are really about to start getting heated up. And well, across the college football landscape as a whole, man, things are really starting to get heated up and get really interesting.
Yes, the rankings as of right now: number one is Georgia, two Alabama, three Notre Dame, and fourth Clemson. And we're seeing
Right.
Oklahoma and TCU looking from the outside in. What do you think about the rankings? You think Georgia's overrated or they're at the right spot?
To be honest with you, I think they're at the right spot. I think they have played quite an impressive schedule. People want to try to stir up some fuss about Alabama not being number one. Quite frankly, as an Alabama fan, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to be honest with you. Georgia does have a better schedule because they beat a presumably very good Notre Dame up to this point, won by 1 point in South Bend. So you can't argue with that. And week after week, Georgia has put up the numbers, had a little bit of a lower scoring affair than me had anticipated last week. But that's a very good South Carolina team. You can't really fault them on the 14-point victory. I'm sure most people out there would like to have seen greater scoring, more style points, as you would say. But I think Georgia proved themselves, and they proved themselves week after week. And let's be honest with you, the whole college football playoff rankings right now until the finality of the conference playoffs or championships. I'm sorry. Really don't mean anything. It's mainly there just for the media to have something to talk about and get everybody just worked up about and promote hype. So right now, no sense in getting bent out of shape about anything. I think Georgia is very deserving of where they're at. So is Notre Dame. So I think Alabama's in a great position. And let's just be honest, if Alabama wins out, they're number one. So either way you look at it, they're going to be in if they do their job.
Now, Alabama just came off one of their toughest games of the season. LSU, thoughts?
Well, like I said in our last podcast, I felt like it was going to be a war. Many people, including a lot of the analysts and the odds makers, had Alabama favored quite heavily. I think 21 points was the line, and I said going in that just wasn't going to happen. A lot of people try to look at the paper instead of what the series has provided us thus far. And this is a pretty rough and tough series. This game every year takes quite a physical toll, as we saw this past Saturday on both teams. LSU is good. LSU is probably one of the better teams in the country, far better than what their rankings and their records are showing. They just started getting themselves together here in the last 4 weeks leading up to this game. And they come in every year and in this contest just ready to go, and they're on the brink of upsetting Alabama each year. Alabama just fortunately outlasted LSU, a great LSU team, but like I said earlier, there were some great casualties to Alabama on that defense. We lost Mac Wilson, one of our linebackers for the year. We also lost Sean Dion Hamilton for the year, which is very unfortunate. This young man came back from an ACL tear to his knee this last SEC championship. Fought hard in the offseason to get back to where he could compete again, and just has been having a phenomenal year up into the contest against LSU. Matter of fact, he even named a semifinalist for the Buckets Award for the nation's most outstanding linebacker, only to have that same knee messed up again. I hate it for the young man. This guy just is really deserving to be in the spotlight and also just to be in a position to guide his team to that national championship, presumably in the future. I hate it for the guy. Yeah, he's going to get his shot in the NFL in the upcoming draft, but that's not what he's thinking about right now. Right now, he's thinking about, man, I need to be out on the field. I need to lead my team. I need to do my part. We need to get to a title, and now I can't do that. And man, the frustration was definitely evident when he threw his helmet in that game, and he tried to tough it out and said, hey, everything was okay. When in reality, it wasn't. And Saban confirmed that in the post game press conference that both he and Mack Wilson are out for the remainder of the season. Then we had an injury to Minka Fitzpatrick, All American safety, and one of the most important, vital parts to that defense. Fortunately, it was just a hamstring injury, but we don't know the severity of it. From what I understand, he should be back for the Mississippi State game. He's been limited early this week in practice, but they're going to just ease him back into everything, and hopefully he'll be 100% or at least 80 to 90% this coming Saturday, which we definitely will need him because that he is just, like I said, an integral part of that defense. He is the quarterback of that defense, just a strong leader. He's the guy who gets everybody in the right position, who's making the right calls, doing the right things. And unless you're blind, he is the guy who was in on every single play, making every single every play work all over the field. Man, that guy, I think you got the point. The guy is a big deal to our team, but he's going to be back. The question is when and at what percent. Hopefully it's against this tough Mississippi State team coming up Saturday. Next injury was Deshaun Hand. Man, come on. He just came back from being out 4 weeks to injury. Hey, he had messed up his knee earlier and against Ole Miss. Was ready to go again. Was going full strength. Man, disrupting plays, doing what he does best. Only to get injured again. As to the extent of his injury, I really haven't heard a lot of updates just yet. But hopefully it's nothing major, and he'll be back in the lineup again. We definitely going to need him down the stretch as we face the tougher part of our schedule.
Looking at the stats from this past weekend, LSU and Alabama had the exact same total yards, 278. It's pretty. I mean, it was a close game. It was a rough and tough game. I told you, and we talked about before that it'll probably be the toughest game so far in the schedule. Now we still got Mississippi State, and we still got Mercer, and we still got Auburn. And then we got the SEC championship game, which is potentially Georgia, and it might be the toughest game of the season. Let's look at the schedule for this weekend. Predictions. Let's go with Alabama, Mississippi State. Who you got for that one?
Okay, Alabama, Mississippi State. Well, like I said, we had some injuries that has potentially hurt our defense. We are going to need, of course, I'm not worried about Rashaan Evans coming up and doing his part as a leader of that defense right now at our linebacker position. He has come on strong since he was out earlier this year due to injury. He has come on strong, is having a strong campaign this year. So is Anthony Jennings. We're definitely going to need Anthony Jennings and Rashaan Evans as the upperclassmen in this defense to really step up. And then we definitely need these younger guys who are going to be put into play, like Jamie Mosley and Dylan Moses, to really play above their freshman status. This is the big leagues now, and we're about to be 10 games in, and that freshman status is gone. I'm starting to consider them sophomores, if you will, and they really need to grow up fast. And I believe they're up to the task, and I think they'll do a great job as long as we play our style of ball. One thing I did notice against LSU is that defense gave up a lot more than I was really used to, or a lot of us were used to. As you can see on the ground, LSU was able to run over Alabama. Darius Geis was held under 100 yards, but it's still his totals were a little bit too much. And then I forgot his backup's name. He shares time with, able to break that long run in a very evident wildcat formation, busted us right out the middle, and eventually scored. Defense definitely needs to tighten up a little bit, and they definitely need to be aware of what's going on. He's very dangerous with his legs as well as with his arm. And Alabama tends to have a problem with mobile quarterbacks, especially mobile quarterbacks who can toss the rock a little bit. Can't get Mississippi State anything. This is a team that very good team, and we'll be playing in a hostile environment in Starkville. So what we need to do is we're going to put this team away early and not give them life, not make them think that they can actually hang with Alabama. Um, Good thing is they really don't have any breakout receivers. They're really going to beat us deep. That doesn't mean that things can't happen. They're not really strong wide receiver. If you look at their receiving yard totals, not very high. Nick Fitzgerald, the quarterback, relies heavily on his legs as he leads the team in rushing. The strength of this team is rushing. Their running backs are good. They're not game breakers, but that's something we're going to have to definitely bottle up. Which it is our strong suit. Uh, this past week wasn't as quite as strong as what we'd hoped for or wanted, but still our strong suit. We still one of the top teams in the country against the run, and we're definitely going to need to shut down that run and force Nick Fitzgerald to throw that ball. I don't think he's really as an accurate passer as most would like, but he's still dangerous. And one thing I had noticed about Fitzgerald, if you frustrate him, he's going to make mistakes. So we got to get to him early and often, put him on the ground, frustrate him, and force him to throw some picks or throw into coverage. But this is a very good Mississippi State team, much improved Mississippi State team from last year. They dropped two games this year, quite badly to Auburn and to Georgia. I think against Georgia they were just shell shocked. They weren't quite ready for the fame that they were receiving, and they just didn't quite know how to handle it. And Georgia came out, popped in the mouth, and they just couldn't recover. And Auburn just came out and just totally decimated them, and just shows that Mississippi State wasn't quite ready for the big time. However, Mississippi State is still in the thick of things. If Alabama messes up, Auburn messes up, Mississippi State still has a small window of hope to get in the title game for the SEC West. So this team still has everything to play for. Plus, they always play tough against Alabama. So Alabama's going to have their work cut out for them.
What's the final prediction score?
Being a Starville, I think with the injuries, I think Alabama will win again. I think it's going to be, I want to say 28-17 Alabama.
That's a close game. Georgia Auburn.
Oh man, exciting contest right now because Auburn is another team that is still in the thick of things, not only for the SEC title, but also for the playoff contention. If you look at it, if Auburn conceivably wins out, they're in the playoffs, even with two losses, because that means they would beat number one Georgia team this week. Then they'll go to Alabama, and well, if they should beat Alabama, I don't want to happen. They should beat Alabama. They'll be the number two team in the country. And then the next week they play Georgia again in the SEC championship. They beat them. I mean, that's a hell of a resume right there. So you can't keep them out of the playoffs. So this is definitely a game to watch. This is definitely an Auburn team you've got to watch. So it's going to really be a big game for both sides. Auburn has one of the more talented defenses in the conference as well as the nation. They lost their star running back for the year here recently. Their offense is good. Not great. They're primarily one-dimensional. Their quarterback Stidham is good game manager, but he's not one of those guys who's just going to explode on the scene and do big things. Of course, it could change. It's just going to be a tough physical game for both sides. Georgia's got probably one of the best defenses in the conference, and I think they'll be able to shut down that Auburn run game, which is what they rely heavily on, and they're going to have to force Stidham to throw. And if they put the game in Stidham's hands, I just don't think Stidham's at the point to where he can win a big game on his arm alone. I just don't think that he's ready for that. I could be wrong, but I just see Georgia coming out of this slugfest. I think they're going to pull away late. I see Georgia winning 24-21.
Yeah, I think Auburn is like their LSU for Alabama. I say for the Alabama game, I forgot to say my prediction. I say Alabama wins. Let's say like 28-14. I say Georgia's going to beat Auburn. I think Georgia has a lot of confidence coming in, be number one. Let's say 28-10. And real brief, TCU Oklahoma.
Oh man, I tell you what, Oklahoma is just playing lights out right now. The only thing I'd like to see more from Oklahoma is an actual defense. Because this past game against Oklahoma State, apparently defense wasn't allowed. It looked like more of an arena football game than an actual college football game. I just think that Oklahoma, mainly Baker Mayfield, are just on absolute fire right now. I don't see TCU being able to contend. I think they lost a lot of steam and a lot of momentum when they dropped that game against Iowa State that they did a few weeks back. Um, Again, Baker Mayfield is just putting up monster numbers. He's been called out by the sports media and everybody to prove himself. And then against Oklahoma State, he passed for 600 yards or close to it. I forgot what the number was. Either way, it was an unreal monster number. I just don't see Oklahoma dropping this. Strange things could happen. Oklahoma has a tendency to pull a call in Oklahoma where they blow a game they shouldn't. I think this team is better than that. I don't see it being close. I think Oklahoma is going to win 45-17.
I think Oklahoma's going to win it too. The biggest game for me for the weekend, Notre Dame, Miami, and what are your thoughts on that?
Notre Dame, Miami. This is a huge game. This is the game that's really going to tell us which one of these two teams is for real. So, man, Miami played an amazing game last week. Came in and beat a very good Virginia Tech team. A lot of people weren't quite sure that Miami was ready to be in that high pedestal they've been placed on, and they clearly showed to all of us that they are ready. Man, this is just a toss up. Notre Dame last week against Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a good team, but I don't feel like they should have been able to score that many points against Notre Dame, and for Notre Dame to basically win a shootout against Wake Forest. So a little concerned about that. I don't know if they were looking ahead. They may have been possibly looking ahead, or maybe they just may have been fatigued. They played a pretty tough schedule up to this point, but man, it's going to be a battle, and we're going to see who is actually ready for the spotlight. You know, I think Notre Dame and Miami both being in a position to where they're being relevant, talked about again, is great for college football. Um, as far as the edge, I gotta give the edge to Miami. I think Miami has the is better at quarterback play than Notre Dame. I think that Mark Rich is gonna win that signature game and win that big game finally in his career. I'd like for Miami to win this one, 35-31.
And will that be enough to make it into the top four for Miami?
I would think. So. Well, yeah, not quite yet because unless Clemson loses, I think Miami is going to make their case when they eventually get to that championship game against Clemson.
Clemson or Florida State? One answer.
Clemson big.
Justin.
Florida State's been able to recover the entire season. They're not ready.
Any final words for Alabama fans for this weekend?
Man, just stay with us. A lot of reporters and analysts who have written columns this week are pretty much acting like Alabama's done. Alabama has no shot because of the injuries that occurred this past week, and namely to key players. Um, and don't buy into that. Again, that's just the media trying to sell papers and gain viewers and so on and so forth. Uh, but then you also have the other side who pretty much guaranteeing Alabama's a shoe in. Just again, like Saban has been preaching all year, we're only looking to each game as it happens. Don't look at the playoffs. Don't look to Auburn. Don't look to Georgia. So on and so forth. Look to this game. This is a very important game. This could be a track game. We've got to come in dialed in. I know we're banged up. I know that we're hurting right now, but this is a very important game on the road. We got to be focused. Definitely need to get back to run the ball consistently. This past week, LSU was able to somewhat limit our run, which I felt at some point we were going to be tested in that way. And I was very shocked that both Damian Harris, Josh Jacobs, and Najee Harris didn't really have a whole lot of carries collectively. What was really surprising is that Damian Harris may have had 2 or 3 carries total. Really? He's the best running back on our team and very vital, and also has been named in Heisman talk. But we're not giving him touches. Don't get me wrong, Bo Scarborough was doing very well against LSU, but I think you've got to have that 1-2 punch of him uh, and Damian Harris, and mixed in with definitely some Josh Jacobs, either carrying the ball or putting him out of slot. We need to get back to playing Alabama football. We don't need to force any issues. I don't foresee Jalen having to win with his arm in this game, although I was very impressed with his ability to do that this past game against LSU because, like I said, the run was neutralized, and Jalen was able to make some big plays with his arm, which a lot of people were questioning his ability to do that up to this point. He really did. He really did show us something this past game. Just stay with us. We're gonna get it done. We're just gonna have to heal again, and we just have to go into this Mississippi State game all business and put them away early. Don't give them any kind of leg up. Don't make mistakes. Beat Alabama and do this thing. End it. End it
Yeah,
early.
yeah, and don't forget those upsets a couple years ago. I think it was 2014. Was it? Yeah, it was an upset a couple of years ago. Big weekend. Let's get it done. Alabama's going to go all the way, to the national championship. I believe this is a no brainer. Justin Riley, thank you very much.
Hey man, I appreciate it. Had a great time tonight. As always, this is brought to you by us at 12-1 Training and then at S. Leon Productions. Check us out. I definitely love to hear your tweets and replies this coming Saturday. As always, like Mr. Santiago has said, I am usually live during the games. Love to hear your thoughts on
Yeah.
everything.
And if anyone wants to promote us or like have any type of advertisement on our podcast, you could give us a call, a message. Anyways, guys, have a good weekend. Enjoy football. It's just a game at the end of the day. God bless and roll tide.
Roll Tide.